Hello, you're watching another episode of Skeptic TV, where this week we'll be looking at the Dunning-Kruger effect. Joining me on the panel this week, we have Eli Fayad 1991,
Hello.
C.S. Bear,
I'm the smartest one here.
Fuck
and,
you.
and our special guest for the week, Tilson.
Yeah, I'm the Danish guy.
Womble will hopefully be joining us at some point during the show, and as ever, we have our wonderful technical person, Colin, keeping the show running smoothly.
And as ever, I would expect Womble's internet to be shitty as fuck.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see about that. We're going to get on to the Dunning-Kruger effect in a little while, but first of all, it's time for the news. And the first piece that I wanted to kick off with, and I know that Lewis doesn't want to talk about this, he's going to be left out of about this, but it's the rather sad news that Hey Ruka, who was somebody that we were hoping to have on the show, to talk about morality of all things, is, well, to be honest, yes, a twat. I don't know whether, well, Tilson, you probably know more about this than I do, but she has made a number of videos basically saying that races are not created equal, that they are genetically distinct and they are genetically and intellectually different, and that this should somehow be a barrier towards multiculturalism.
I was just about to make a sexist joke, but seeing as how she got so much shit from, the whole racist thing, I think I'll be wise to not do that. I was going to say...
We'll try and be nice to her.
Fuck it, I'll say it anyways. I was going to say, she further proves that women should not be on the internet.
You lucky that Womble is not here.
I don't even
It's
think
just a
that's...
fucking joke.
I don't even think that classifies as a joke.
Why not?
I don't think anybody really found that funny. But,
well, it's not nobody's apparently a beatard then, so fuck you.
Well, I would say honestly about Hey Ruka, this entire case, that it came to surprise me, because I was one of the first to give her a shout out, because she was looking at a promising new account on YouTube, and
yeah,
bet you regret that, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to withdraw it, and then people were accusing me of jumping on the bandwagon. I was like, oh, fuck you guys, I was one of the first people to fucking talk about her. It's like, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon, and I got flooded by white nationalists, giving me hate mail, and left-wing nutters, perhaps, who wanted me to join some communistic cause. I was like, oh, fuck it, fuck off, everyone.
I think what was most disappointing, given that this is a show devoted to skepticism, was not the fact that she had these views in the first place. It was simply the fact that when numerous people on YouTube made video responses to her saying, you're wrong, the data doesn't show that black races are less intelligent because of this, this, and this, she basically didn't seem to be open to criticism at all.
Well, she also looks like a horse. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
I think that's unfair.
I think that's an ad hom.
Yeah.
But, well, I know that, but I'm just being facetious because I think this whole topic's fucking stupid, and that everyone gave her way too much attention for absolutely no reason, which is hypocritical on my part because, like, people will give that same argument, saying, well, Neff, nobody would give it, or he wouldn't do shit if nobody gave him attention, so valid point, but, he's already popular. Nobody knew about her pretty much until she, did this bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, we'll come to the issue of attention in a minute, because I think possibly it has something behind this. But another really disappointing thing was that when numerous people asked her for her sources, saying, "What is your evidence that black people are genetically less intelligent?" She refused to cite any sources whatsoever. I believe she was quoted as saying, "I'm not your research tool."
That sounds familiar. Anyone know? That doesn't sound familiar to anyone?
It does sound very familiar.
The thing was also, I warned her several days before that she's going to get flooded, she's going to be put in the loony bin, private messages on Skype and everything. And now she's accusing me on one of her videos of I just did those videos towards her for gaining views. I'm like, fuck you! If anyone's doing this for views, it's you, for fuck's sake.
Says the bitch who's only popular because of you, which I guess you're to blame for also.
Sorry, but at least we got some new people we can have fun with.
I don't want to give her any attention or whatever.
Well, yeah, this is something I want to discuss because well, were it not for the fact that she made more than one video on this subject, I was prepared. I mean, this may still be a contributing factor, but I think partly it could have been down to the fact that she's one of these people who just vlogs, and often they switch on the camera and open their mouth without actually thinking what they're saying before, and so she might have somehow misspoken or something. But or
I think
alternatively,
she just ran with it.
Yeah,
Like
or
good
alternatively, she is basically looking for attention, and she's saying outrageous things to get some attention to her channel. I'm not quite sure how she intends that to positively impact on her subscribership.
She doesn't. She doesn't give a fuck. She's an attention whore. Attention whores don't give a fuck.
Well,
if it's and you know, like what's that saying? Any attention is better than. I mean, bad publicity is better than no publicity.
yeah. I mean, I'm of the opinion that
goes
everybody
that
on
way.
YouTube is a bit of an attention whore, and that's basically why they're
Of course
there.
we are, because if we weren't attention whores, we wouldn't put ourselves out there.
Well, of course
Yeah.
we're attention whores. I'm the first one to say I'm an attention whore. I mean,
I
you
hate
guys should
attention.
subscribe to me.
I wrote an essay at my final exam in Danish, actually titled "I'm an attention whore," and that was because it was about social networks, and I explained my position on using social networks.
I'm a
So-
total attention whore.
For the benefit of those in chat, that's not a more current picture of Ruka on screen.
Don't forget to subscribe to me on my channel, Elifayad 1991.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to all of us here and to Skeptic TV show, where we can keep you updated. That's actually a sincere comment, though. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Skeptic TV show.
Man, fuck.
Especially mine, because I'm cute as bloody hell.
Psst, bitch,
I got a
please.
beard as well.
Yeah, so I would be prepared to grant Hey Ruka that it was a symptom of basically trolling, but the fact that she has made a couple of videos since then and tried to defend her position, is deeply disappointing.
Yeah.
So we're going to need to find another former Jew, or even just a practicing Jew, for our morality special.
Well, she's now
Wait,
withdrawing that. She's not saying
Wait,
she's Jew anymore.
She's a former Jew?
Well,
she used to be Jewish. I think the way that Judaism works, she's still actually a Jew because you can never unbecome a Jew.
she's actually in comments actually saying she's not a Jew.
Once seen cannot be unseen.
yeah.
Once Jew cannot be unjewed.
But I think the rule is if your mother's Jewish, then you're Jewish, and there's nothing you can do about that. But
Well, I mean,
basically,
that's kind of like when you put Judaism like kind of in the race category. You know, like some people are like, well, I'm Jewish, or culturally Jewish or whatever. They're not practicing Jews, but they're still Jewish.
It's a kind
Yeah.
of tribal thing, sort of the survival mechanism after all the persecution the Jews have been through since, Middle Ages until now. So they basically have this cultural survival mechanism to basically keep people being Jewish so they don't get wiped out, basically.
Somebody
Yeah.
should troll her and say that Jews are, like stupid or something. And that it's
Nah.
proven through science. And if you want my sources, fuck you. I'm not going to give you any.
I
about
will want
that?
to respond to Oliver Scott in the chat. He says Jews do also have distinguished features, and I would say that's not really true.
No, but there are some people who kind of look Jewish, and I know that sounds horrible, but there is a
stereotype. There's a
friend
to
of
it.
mine. There's a friend of mine who is a former Jew, and he looks just like Mark Zuckerberg, who also looked extremely Jewish.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
grant that. Do you have certain groups that are genetically very similar looking, but you also have the other Jewish from the Russian area that don't look like the other Jews, so to say. So it's kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time my friend talked to us or showed his face on camera, I'm like, wait, before you say anything, let me guess what religion you used to be before you were an atheist.
I like NXSD.
God.
NXSD's comment. Let's stop giving the racists more attention. On to good signs for you.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Here's my idea how to get rid of cancer. It's called eugenics.
We'll get on to good
No,
science
that's
for you in a minute.
That's what good science for you basically said. That's what his idea basically is. It's like, here's my idea for how to, whatever. And it's like, it's basically Eugenics. It's nothing more, nothing less.
I mean, we're going to come on to good science for you later in the program.
We are?
He's another. We're going to discuss him later in the show.
Okay, that sounds better.
Yeah,
he's
and
suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect.
he is a prime example in my book.
Well, doesn't that asshole say that he has like an IQ of like 200 or some shit?
180, I believe.
And a whiteboard on a
that's what he
sink.
told me.
Well, yeah, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll come back to it in a minute. But
I think he
before
just
we
thinks he's
move on,
Dr. House.
before we move on, I didn't know if we did want to discuss. It's still not something which I've thoroughly researched, but whether or not there is any basis to the race and IQ link. Because I've already written a post on our blog, SkepticTV.net, about this. I haven't actually, because I haven't yet researched the topic fully enough to be able to give you solid conclusions. But
4chan tells me it's true. So,
but I've already addressed the possibility that there could be this kind of correlation, but that it could be due to a number of reasons, not just genetic.
Well, IQ is not fluid across every single culture because it's aimed at people raised in that culture, the history of that culture, the way that culture communicates, etc. So people who have an IQ of, say, 150 in the United States could be smarter in some areas and dumber in other areas than somebody in China who has an IQ of 150.
There are also
the
different
IQ test
IQ
is not valid.
tests. You also have different IQ tests with different scales of giving points.
The thing is, though, that the IQ thing is meant to be averaged out to 100. So, whenever, in a population, so if it always averages out to 100. So if you have someone, like, let's say I have an IQ of 150, as unlikely as that may be, or as that may seem to some of you,
No comment.
and then there's someone with an IQ of 50 that would average out to 100. So, that works right there. It's hard to, I don't know exactly how to explain it. I'm not the best for explaining it.
It's a bell curve. So the results cluster around 100, or at least the scores are always calculated. So they are clustered around 100. So 100 is always the normal IQ or the average IQ.
Well, if we had Skeptic TV psychologist here.
But we can't use it on a global scale because it's not standardized and it's a very...
well, also since we don't have accurate IQ tests for everyone around the world. Or
this is the problem, is that brains do differ in different parts of the world. The example I gave in my piece was that Chinese people are so much better at maths than Westerners, and there's no two ways to put it. But it's racist, but in a good way. How much of that is genetic and how much of that is due to the way that they learn in school, I don't know. But it's obviously going to be the case that if you give the IQ test to people in the UK and to people in Japan or China, then they are going to differ, and that doesn't necessarily reflect on their IQ. The other example that I gave is that in a lot of the poorer countries and the countries mainly inherited by black races, quite often the education system isn't as good as it is in the Western world, and that's a social problem.
Ruka's thinking, and I don't think she's thought this all the way through. I'm going with, let's say she's not trolling or not, and that she actually legitimately believes it this way. Excuse me. Is that yes, there seems to be a disparity, at least in America, between test scores, not IQ test scores, but just test scores in school, between people that are Asian, white, and African American and Hispanic. But I think she sees those as an evolutionary thing more than the real reason behind it, which is predominantly it's more of a cultural thing. If you look at it through history, in American history at least, when slavery was still around in America, and this is actual fact, they would take the smarter slaves and kill them, and would instead opt for or even if they wouldn't kill them, they would only. I hate to use this term because it sounds extremely horrible, but they would basically breed the stronger slaves in order to basically make super slaves, which would cause some kind of or it definitely would cause some kind of detriment to the or at least back then to that race as a general. But it's still not something that has anything to do with evolution, particular because it is not. It's not natural selection; it's artificial selection. So right there, she's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
besides,
I will say that she has explicitly stated that she is not a proponent of eugenics. Her main argument behind this was that she basically wanted to use it to promote nationalism. So, and by extension of that,
as well.
yeah, by extension of that, reduce multiculturalism.
Except nationalism is stupid also.
Well, I agree with there as well, but
besides,
we're
I
not
have
going...
1,000 IQ anyways.
Fuck you.
I'll create my own IQ test. Will give me a 215 IQ. Call it a Tilson test. It's completely random. Only I can score that high.
I think it's probably about time to move on, and my mind's just gone blank as the other thing I wanted to discuss this week.
You said good science for you, the fucking crazy dude with the whiteboard.
That's gonna be the body of our show in just in a few minutes. But another thing I did want to actually discuss this week was that new, I suppose you can call them aerial photographs of the surface of the moon have just been released this week.
Oh, they look great.
Which contain images of the landing sites of previous Apollo missions and also things like the tracks left by the astronauts as they walked around. And this means that I am no longer a lunar landing skeptic.
Wait, you were a skeptic of the lunar landing?
I wasn't of the absolute opinion that it didn't happen, but I had my doubts about it. I could completely understand.
I am disappointed.
I'm disappointed as well now.
I know. I was worried you'd all, but although I could be being a good skeptic. But basically,
I think we all have our things that we're skeptical about. I mean, the one thing that I'm still skeptical about is, for example, the JFK assassination. I mean, I'm not of the mind of saying, you know, it was absolutely a conspiracy, the government's lying to us, blah blah blah. But I don't know. I just still always have my doubts.
I have this same thing with...
He was actually killed.
But you will always have these lunar crazy guys who will say that they know better. These photos are false, Photoshop. You know, modern technology can Photoshop anything.
Yeah, I mean, I do not buy into. Yes, I'm looking at the Vlog TV right now. The Jeep on the moon, but I don't buy into any of the evidence of it being a conspiracy. You know, of the things like doctored photos and I don't know, the stars not being in the sky and all the rest of it. It was just the case that I wouldn't have put it past the Americans not to fake something like that, given the position that they were in with the Cold War, and they would generally seem to be behind the Russians in the space race and things like that. So it wouldn't have surprised me if they had faked something like the lunar landing simply as propaganda.
Well, a great point that someone made to me was the fact that the Russians confirmed that we landed. So, like, why would the Russians do that unless we actually did?
Yeah, like tracking their movements in space.
Can I just say, does anybody know actually who has released these photos? Because Hogtie Champ is saying, couldn't NASA have faked these new photos of tracks on the moon? I think, I may be wrong in this, but I think the photos are actually from a Chinese probe that was sent up in, I think, 2008 to orbit the moon and photograph the surface.
Yeah.
The Chinese are in on it, of course.
Of course
yes, of course, because they're you know, the Chinese and the Americans are best buddies.
Well, yeah.
But so that's
that picture's great.
The Millennium Falcon.
But yes, I mean, I'm not a 9/11 hoax, or not even a hoax. I don't think it was a hoax at all, but you know, the inside job.
I used to be back in like the 6th grade, but you know, I was stupid in the 6th grade.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's also one of these things that I wouldn't put it past the Americans for it to be an inside job, because they had certain motives for doing so. But I'm not of the absolute opinion that it was an inside job. I have no evidence for that fact.
I remember when I was in primary school. In primary school, we actually had a guest tutor coming in, and actually talked to us about how it could have been faked and showed us all the, with the photos, like, oh, the thing is behind that and no stars and all that. In fucking public school, we had that.
Wow.
Trying to.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Here, I mean, not here in the. I mean, it's been proven to me, pretty much beyond a reasonable doubt that everything that happened on 9/11 was, a direct result of, the planes crashing into those buildings, including the World Trade Center 7 building, which everyone's like, herb or derp, it was brought down by the government.
Building 7.
Yeah, Building 7. Like, the only conspiracy theory that would ever hold any water, and I don't believe this one, I'm just saying, is that the government knew about it and didn't do anything. Not that they actually had a hand in it, though.
Mm.
Well, I think it's also quite good to talk about these conspiracy theories, because they also are inflicted by this Dunning-Kruger effect, that they think they know better than everyone else, even the experts. And I've talked with a lot of crazy so-called truthers. I once sat in a conversation with a guy who said there were no planes that hit the World Trade Centers. It were actually atomic missiles with projected holograms on them.
Wait, what?
He said, yes.
Wait.
We will also, later in the program, we'll also be coming to Gorilla 199, so...
The best thing of that conversation on Skype was he said there's no plane that hit the Pentagon. So
it's a pentagram.
It is a pentagram. It's devil. But I actually had a guy on my Skype, still have, who actually was positioned at the Pentagon, actually saw the fucking planes. A plane. So I invited him, like, hey, you were there, you were in the military, you were actually working there when it actually hit. Could explain to him it's not fucking atomic missile that hit.
Yeah, another weird argument I've had from a 9/11 truther has been, why do you accept the official word?
Sorry, what?
That was his whole argument. He said, why do you accept the official word? That was his whole argument for why 9/11 truthers were right.
Well, I think it's funny. I think it, yeah, of course. I think back on the Magic Sandwich Show a couple months back, they had the episode was dedicated to conspiracy theories, and I think conspiracy theories, come into the whole Dunning-Kruger thing, particularly because, as I think it might have been Tilson just now who mentioned, that it kind of comes with a feeling of, I know something that the rest of the world doesn't know, haha, fuck you, I'm almighty, and I know more than the rest of you, so be jelly.
Yeah, I mean,
Colin.
Tech Guy's just messing with us this week. Although
way too much fun on Google.
I do like the Godzilla theory.
What the fuck?
Either that or Cloverfield was actually a documentary.
Really?
Oh, that takes us back to our first program. Remember that, guys?
Really?
No!
And the Planet of the Apes was actually a documentary sent back from the future.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg was in it.
Yep.
And what's his people name? In chat, I kind of like Cloverfield. It was a bit crap, but it was also.
I like Cloverfield. Star Trek, though, is what made me forgive J.J. Abrams for Lost. Seriously, fuck Lost and fuck anyone who likes that piece of shit show.
I tried to watch it, but I got confused.
But that's the thing,
think
though.
Lost could be redeemed, personally. But...
Lewis, without J.J. Abrams, we would never have lost the game.
God damn it, motherfucking fuck. You, God damn it.
I hate you.
Chris, why do you do this to me?
Shall we move on to our third news item?
Sure, why the fuck not?
And I've just been looked up what it was because it was my idea to have it. But the UK government this week has announced that they would like to start videotaping sentencings in UK courtrooms. So it would only be in the case that somebody has already been found guilty and the jury have passed their verdict. And at that point, video cameras or the press would be allowed to come into the courtroom and document the judge making his little speech saying, "You've been very bad, now go to prison."
Why?
The government reckons that this is going to show their new tougher stance on crime. This is in the wake, of course, of the London riots.
Oh my God!
And so, yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on this because I know
here in America, it's up to the discretion of the judge whether or not to let cameras in. And if I was a judge personally, I would never let them in. I'm just like, get the fuck out of my courtroom. This isn't a fucking sideshow for you people. Like, if I was the judge for the whole Casey Anthony thing, I would have been like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I got this piece of news from Loose Women. I don't actually. There is a program.
From Loose Women?
There's a program in the UK called Loose Women.
Oh, okay. I was like, you're gay. Where do you meet loose women?
Don't let the cat out of the bag, children. God.
I was gonna say, like, can you introduce me to some of these loose women? I'd like something.
Yes, I get all my news and current affairs from prostitutes on street corners. But no, there is.
Excellent.
There's a daytime television.
The danger of putting in cameras into courtroom to when the sentencing is to be made, it's going to make it like a sensational, like fucking publicity thing. Like, as you say, it's to show we're tough on crime, but it's true. Man, some of these judges will eventually probably turn out to be attention whores and be like.
In my opinion, though, here in America, I think that actually would be good, not for the whole we're being tough on crime thing, but I think it would keep judges honest, because here in America a big problem is a disparity in sentencing in people of different races, particularly black and white people, and minorities in general.
So you're saying if the cameras are rolling, then the judge people at home might be taking notes and seeing whether there's a difference.
Well, not just that, but I just think that pretty much that. I mean, I think it would just be able to keep judges honest, and if they're shown to be scumbags who, or not even just people who unfairly sentence minorities to harsher punishments than their white counterparts for the same crime under similar circumstances, I think that should be brought to light, because there is that problem in America.
Yeah, I mean, part of the objection that I heard on this program, I should say, Loose Women is a daytime discussion program by women about women's matters. That's what happens when you're unemployed. You have to watch this stuff.
About cameras and
well, it's not just women's
matters. Makeup about being shown on camera.
Well, it's not just women's matters, but
it's because they might go easier on prostitutes. That's why the Loose Women are interested, because that's such a funny fucking name.
I must say, it is. It's a great pun. I think it's. Anyway, we won't get on with that. But part of what they were saying is that. Speaking of Loose Women, Angry Womble is just about to join us.
Jesus.
You better pray to God she didn't fucking hear you.
She didn't hear that. She's not on She's not on Blog TV.
Yeah, but we're recording
this
show.
Yes. She's gonna fucking crucify you.
People in chat are gonna dob on me, but
I think what
I meant by that. What I meant by.
Okay, I'm just going to the chat. So yeah, I'm
Womble,
sure
you're happier not knowing. Trust me.
What I meant by that was that Womble is the Womble.
Just keep digging.
Womble is the kind of woman who likes to stay up to date with affairs and things that affect her or could matter to her in the future.
You're saying I'm a gossip?
She's a woman of the world. No, I'm not saying that at all.
In what respect you're saying I'm a woman of the world?
Just to get you up to speed, Womble, we're discussing the proposal by the government earlier this week to introduce TV cameras into courtrooms thank you, Colin, for putting that on screen, bringing the press into courtrooms when the judge is about to sentence somebody. So after the jury has found them guilty, then the cameras come in and you basically get the judge's speech saying, you've been very bad, now go to prison. And this is supposedly...
They told they're a very naughty boy.
Yes, or girl. And this is... basically
involved. Sorry.
The reason why the government are behind this is because they think it will show their new tougher stance on crime, and we're basically arguing that it's generally a bad idea.
One of the problems.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, one of the problems could be that you don't see the entire procedure up to it. You only see the verdict. Then people at home will come up with their own conclusions of why their person got exactly that verdict. They might not agree on that verdict, and you could potentially get like a civil uprising that might be unfounded.
Yeah.
Like those cops who got off after beating the shit out of Rodney King.
They got off in more ways than one.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You could get great things like you could see, okay, these guys got off easily because of some other thing, but you could also get the guys who get a tough, like let's say if an EDL member got a verdict, yeah, because he was possession of Islamic ray guns, and all these white nationalists who march and like, oh, look at a verdict, they telling everyone that he's a bad person, so on. It could potentially put more fuel onto the fire.
Yeah, I mean, I should remind you that, of course, people who aren't convicted of a crime won't be on television. But I think there is also there is a certain burden on the press to accurately represent the various minorities that are sentenced. And the question is, would they have to, because obviously people might start to make a connection if more often than not all the convicts are of a particular race or whatever.
See, that's also that's also a problem I foresee in this. I mean, that whole Casey Anthony thing. I mean, the only reason I was shocked, as well as everyone else was, that she was found not guilty, for example, was the way the media demonized her like crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think she's guilty as shit, but the amount of unwarranted attention that was given to this woman for, possibly killing her own kid was ridiculous. And even if she had actually not have done it, like I said, I'm shocked that they found her not guilty.
Yeah, and I mean, well, part of what the panel on Loose Women was saying is that by putting these people on the television, we could be potentially celebritizing them, or something, celatizing them is actually the word.
Yeah, like Casey Anthony. I mean, do you know how much money she demanded for her first interview? She demanded $1.5 million fucking dollars.
Welcome to America.
The problem is, though, I bet somebody paid.
Somebody would have.
I don't think anyone's had an interview.
But I was going to say, you don't necessarily have to, be quite as greedy as that to try and, ask for a demanding sum and then push the figure up every time. I mean, going back to earlier what you were saying, Sound, is the problem is with, even in the UK, is we have biased reporting. There are some really dodgy reporting standards that go out by some news outlets. Yeah.
Wait, so
we have the Daily Fail.
The BBC is
the BBC
biased?
Isn't quite as bad.
Yay.
But things like the Daily Mail, it's it's a slightly watered down version, but it's Fox News effectively.
Yeah.
And we do have News International running around amok with some newspapers. And also you've then got the double-edged sword. Yeah, well, they're no longer
well, yeah, I know that, but I mean, like...
But you've also got the double-edged sword of, you might have someone that's convicted and made guilty, but there was, something wrong with the evidence. Later on it turns out actually they weren't quite so guilty, and the conviction is overturned, but it's still the fact that it's been televised.
Like the West Memphis 3 thing.
And of course, after, if somebody is found then not to be guilty and they're let out of prison, there will always be people who saw it on television and don't believe that he's not guilty and will go after him and whatever.
Like
the same thing is also that potentially judges could be targeted if either a relative of somebody or somebody who sympathises with a particular criminal sees that this particular judge is sentencing them. I mean, obviously, that's still something which is publicly available. Anybody can look up the proceeds of British courtrooms, but most people don't go to that trouble. If it's on television, on the other hand, everybody knows about it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I added that. I just thought that'd be funny.
Yeah. One thing, it's like, I am of that idea. When you get a conviction and you serve that, you have served your penalty. Adding all this media onto it is actually adding like additional penalty onto a person. And I think that's not fair if you want a.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you think?
I have to say, for certain crimes, it's probably the added sort of thing of everyone in the country knowing that you've just gone out and murdered 50 children or 50 people or whatever. So those sort of level of crimes that they do need to be reported. But if someone's been out shoplifting, Okay, yeah, it's a crime. It's not good. It's idiotic. There's possibly going to be some background reasons, but there's people that shoplift every day. You don't need to know about every single shoplifter.
But think about this. Think about it this way, though. Also, I mean, let's take someone who gets accused of committing a murder, and they get accused of committing a murder that they didn't actually commit. So they get found. Oh wait, but this is only if they get found not guilty, right?
That's true. Yes, if it's only if a guilty verdict is passed.
Okay, well then, yeah, so that's different. So, okay, never mind then. Because if it was everyone, then that'd be dangerous.
What you were going to say, if somebody is found not guilty, then other people will presume them to be guilty and go after them.
Well, again, that's the thing I was going to say about, like, for example, Casey Anthony. I mean, under the eyes of the law, she has done nothing wrong. But since everyone gave her all this crazy amount of attention, good luck getting a job ever.
It's O.J. Simpson as well, isn't it? I mean...
Well, yeah. But
he's in jail.
Well, now he's in jail.
He is now, but
did he get in jail for something different?
Yes, he shoplifted, or he stole a bunch of shit.
No, armed robbery.
Armed robbery.
He's got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one.
But also one thing, you have people who get wrongfully convicted.
Exactly, I said that earlier.
But your point, Lewis, that that there may be people who are found not guilty and other people trying to take the law into their own hands, it's still a point worth considering, because we have to ask the question, what will happen if cameras are allowed into courtrooms for guilty verdicts? Presumably, if it's allowed to continue to its logical endpoint, then we are going to have cameras in for all verdicts, regardless of what they are. Basically, because it's going to be the floodgates opening, isn't it?
And then at some point, we'll likely just have it for the entire court thing.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, here in America, you can already have that, but it's up to the discretion of the judge.
Yeah, and you have Judge Judy as well.
Oh, fuck that.
Which isn't really worth considering from any kind of point of view.
Is she actually a proper judge? Because I've never understood those court TV things. Are there actually court cases?
Well, the way that works is that she's basically a mediator, for TV.
She's Jerry Springer.
They sign a contract before going on the show that whatever her verdict is legal and binding. So, that she's basically a glorified mediator. Because
I wondered about
a judge, but she's not. She can't handle. Like legal disputes. She can only handle civil cases.
Yeah, what it is it's a civil case. It's going to small claims, and the show calls up people, or they can ask the show to be on it, and they have to drop the case in civil court, take it there, and they have to abide by whatever decision is made there. And usually they get paid, or a certain amount of the final fine is paid by the show for them appearing on it.
Really? So, like, if she sentences, or like the plaintiff owes the defendant $500, like the show.
Yeah, and it's like, for showing up the show, we'll pay like $250 of the fine.
Dude, they should just pay the whole fucking thing. $500 is not that much.
I know, but it can go up to $6,000.
Because I was used to wonder when she said, "You'll have to pay child supports." For some reason, Judge Judy is being played by Joan Rivers. But when she said, "You'll have to pay child support for your child," then I just thought that was kind of, the camera's cut and then nothing's actually done about it, because I didn't think she had any kind of way of enforcing
they
it.
They sign a contract saying that whatever she decides is actually binding. So they actually do have to go by that.
So I think we're generally agreed all round that the idea of putting cameras into UK courtrooms is a bad idea. I should say that some people have accused this of being a knee-jerk reaction in response to the London riots of a few weeks ago.
Well, it absolutely is.
But then I since discovered that it was also proposed by the previous government, the Labour government, back in 2004, and I don't know if that's even the first time that it was proposed. I think the fact that it's come back into the limelight is perhaps a response to the London riots, but it's not exactly a new idea.
Oh, okay.
But that's, I think, all we have to say. So, yes, there's the swordfish theft.
Yeah.
Let's talk about loose women.
And,
Yes, Sound. What do you think on loose women?
I think that when you're as unemployed as I am, it makes for good daytime viewing. Bearing in mind that Eternity is usually the daily politics show.
So it's basically like the British equivalent of the View, a bunch of like extremely like loud, annoying bitches talking about bullshit.
Jenny Eclair is not annoying, thank you very much. She's a fine comedian.
Have you got a crush on her?
I have a little bit of a thing. I wish you were my auntie. I don't have a crush on her, but I would like to have her in the family. Basically,
aren't you gay?
But,
we're supposed to keep that under wraps apparently now.
Basically, any screenplay that I write,
a bro crush.
I do write screenplays now and again, and every single one has a part in it for Jenny Eclair.
That's kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie.
That is stalker material there, Sound.
It's also not true. But no, she's just funny. I was just like to pair her up with somebody really inappropriate, like
Neff.
This film stars Morgan Freeman and Jenny Eclair as two undercover cops who blah blah blah.
Oh my god.
So,
can you help me write a screenplay? I've been wanting to make a buddy cop comedy with with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tommy Wiseau.
I tell you what, we will let you two plot that away later. But I think Bear's got something to tell us or bring to
Bear
us.
never has anything to say.
Being harassed in Skype chat, so fire away, Bear.
Yeah. For those who have been paying attention, about 72,000 total acres in central Texas has either been directly affected or completely burned by wildfires. And since I live in Austin, Texas right now, I'm like seeing the aftermath of a lot of this stuff. And I just wanted to point out, if we can today, and I'll remind people at the end of the show, the American Red Cross, the division, or the American Red Cross of Central Texas, is currently accepting donations directly to help people who are now homeless because of the wildfires. There's something like 1,300 families are homeless right now.
I actually have a friend of mine.
Central Texas.
I have a friend of mine here in college, whose entire hometown burned down.
Yeah,
like the whole fucking thing.
There's a wildfire still going on in Bastrop, which is just east of Austin, and they're still trying to put it out. They're trying to find funding and trying to bring in people. They're bringing in people, aircraft, everything they can from out of state to try to fight this fire right now.
Kamikaze
It's just
pilots.
too dry. Yeah. So if you guys can, we'd appreciate it if you would go to the Central Texas division of the Red Cross. And if you got $5, $10, whatever, please help donate and make sure people have a place to stay tonight.
And also spread the word if you know 2 or 3 other people that think they could give a little bit of money. Every little bit helps.
Also, please don't pray, because Rick Perry tried that and it fucking failed.
No.
Yeah.
Backfired, literally.
Chris, could you put that in the bar above the chat on Blog TV,
Sure,
please?
I'll put that up there.
Thanks.
Like I said, at the end of the show, I'll remind people, right now I'm trying to, there was a fire in my apartment complex that wasn't due to the wildfires, and 16 families are currently homeless because of it. So I'm trying my hardest to help out too.
Which is funny, because isn't it a brand new apartment complex?
No, it's about 20, 30 years old.
Really?
But likely some moron went grilling during a no tolerance weekend where anyone who was caught throwing a cigarette away or grilling or setting off fireworks, they immediately went to jail.
Oh, a burn ban, yeah.
Completely. I mean, the police were out and they arrested 92 people over the holiday
Holy
weekend.
Shit. Wait, so it's not arson like they originally thought?
No, because the news was reporting that the arson was in Leander, which is north of where I live. And for some reason, they thought it was the fire that happened with mine. But it looks like it was most likely someone grilling when they weren't supposed to.
Fucking derp.
So, yeah. Luckily, renter's insurance. Woo.
Well,
So
it
it's
didn't
gonna be
affect.
stupid,
It
I'm
didn't
covered.
affect. It didn't affect your apartment, though, right? So no
No,
worries there.
it was
Yeah,
a building behind mine.
So unfortunate for them, but I mean, at least you're okay, or your
And
property.
I hate saying this, but every time I walk out of my apartment, it smells like Outback Steakhouse.
Oh, damn,
Oh.
it smells nice.
You'll
That's a
make
bummer.
Left jealous.
I know.
Not really.
It's so horrible thinking about how close it was, but it's all I think about when I leave my apartment now. It's terrible.
Outback.
Ooh.
And you're coming into town so we can go see Kevin Smith live.
Fuck yeah, we are. What day is it again, just to make sure?
September 27th. It all should be recorded. He's titled the show now.
So is it actually... Oh, it is, really?
Yeah, it's his next comedy special. It's going to be on Epix HD and probably released on DVD. He calls it Kevin Smith Burns in Hell.
Wait, so he's I'm sorry if you're getting sidetracked.
I was going to say we're getting sidetracked. We can...
I'm sorry, I was just reminding people that L.A. Fayad and I are going to be joining forces again for a day.
Oh.
The world won't be safe.
You must record this.
Run for your lives.
Is he showing Red State? Like, is it actually like a viewing thing too, or no?
I think he's trying to do it still, but it hasn't been done. But I'm going to see what I can do about, us getting together, see what money we can raise for the Red Cross too.
Yeah, cool. Good point.
And finally, I know that our news segment has gone on a little bit long, but I'm just quickly going to mention this, and I'm going to mention it at the end of the program. But next Saturday, no, it's not penis. Next Saturday, there's going to be an even better show than our show, if you can believe such a thing.
Because I'm not on it.
Oh, lies and nonsense.
Yeah, we're not even going to be on it. But DPR Jones is doing a 24-hour fundraiser for Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. This is the third year that it's being held, I believe.
Is it?
Last year he's doing it.
Really? What does that mean? Somebody else is taking over, or it's never going to happen?
He doesn't know yet, but he's not doing it for another year.
I'll do it.
We'll find someone. I'm sure we will.
Netflix
I'll do it. Oh Jesus!
Because when he comes back with his new computer, I think he's deconverted. And he'd be like, "Here, I've seen the light. We need science."
He's got a new computer.
Thumbs up if you think that's likely, or thumbs down if you think he's going to be just the same when he comes back.
He's probably just like masturbating angrily now. Like,
oh my god!
No, come on. What else is he going to be doing? I mean, he's broke as shit. He doesn't have a job. What do you think he's doing all day?
I don't want to think about Nephilim-free masturbating, please.
But,
have a great night.
But anyway, I'm sure that you've probably already heard about the fundraiser on YouTube, and we'll be posting links to everything that you need to know on our blog, SkepticTV.net, including the eBay page where you can bid on things. I've already got an item list on there, and Lewis has got something lined up, I believe.
I forgot to let them know about mine in time.
It's not too late. I only sent mine the day before yesterday or something, so you can still send things in.
Okay, you'll have to PM me the details later so I can get
I shall indeed. So Womble's going to be listing something as well. But anyway, you've all got to tune in next week. It should be a blast. James Randi's going to be there amongst other people.
Blast.
Sorry, I'm so British. Yes, that there on screen is the book that I'm auctioning, along with a fossil pine cone for any truthful Christian fans out there.
I got plenty of pine cones.
But not fossil ones.
Fucking pine cones, how do they work?
They work.
I also got a satanic Bible. He called it satanic, my Bible, because it was too old. Because it was older than the King James Version. So,
oh, if it's older, sure, it's more authentic. Anyway, it's now time to come to the main body of our show, where this week we're discussing the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Woohoo!
And I suppose the best place to start is simply by explaining what the Dunning-Kruger effect is.
I'm really smart.
From what I understand, isn't Dunning-Kruger a really hot German actress? She was in Troy, the movie. She was also in the National Treasures movies.
Who?
Oh no, that's Diane Kruger. Wrong.
There are plenty of people called Kruger.
Stop dribbling.
Freddy
I think
Krueger.
she also had.
I like
She
the
also
Freddy
had
Krueger
a bit
effect.
part in that Sean Penn movie with Michael Douglas. What was it again? Oh, The Game.
Oh,
You fucking... What's she really in that?
how do you make these connections?
Focus, guys. Focus. I'll give all of you my
Yes.
meds, and you'll focus really hard.
So, anyway, for those of you who don't know, the Dunning-Kruger effect is basically the phenomenon by which, when people are given a task to do, it's something usually a simple like an IQ test or something like that, or they're asked to make a connection between things or complete a puzzle or something. When you then interview them afterwards and ask them for a rating as to how they think they've done. A strange pattern emerges whereby those people who were less able or couldn't perform the puzzle or the task as easily, or they had more trouble doing it, they generally consider themselves to have a greater ability than average, whereas those people who did it very easily consider themselves to have a lower perceived ability.
People who are more herp derp think they're smart as shit.
Basically, yes. And I should point out that this is not any kind of a mental illness or a syndrome or anything like that. It is just simply a statistical phenomenon.
It's just ego gone crazy.
And we'll come on to this in a minute, but there will obviously be certain psychological conditions and things which will feed into that.
Some notable people who suffer from the Dunning-Kruger effect, notable YouTubers, Nephilim Free and Good Science for You. Any others that we may throw into the pot here?
Creationists in general?
Gorilla 99 I am going to discuss later on. But I think Neff is probably the best place to start. And I have to start with a bit of an apology. Those of you who saw the trailer this week and came here, I basically dismissed some of Neff's claims as bullshit. And since I released that trailer, the Annie Pies, which I found out just before the show was actually a guy, left some comments on my channel saying that actually some of those comments have some basis in fact.
Please tell them. I want to hear this.
The first one, it said he claims he used to be a member of the U.S. Chess Federation.
Yeah. You can actually just pay like a membership fee and you're a part of it, so it's not that impressive.
I discovered that this is actually true. He did join the United States Chess Federation back in 1992.
Wait, how do you know that?
The Annie Pies has told me this. All right, let me come to this. So yeah, anybody can join. The membership fee at the moment is just $34, so anybody can join. And I imagine in the 90s it would have been a fair bit cheaper. But I actually checked this out, and I went to the US Chess Federation website, and you can find his statistics on there under his real name, Evan Phillips. And it turns out that yes, he was a member in 1992. He played a total of 7 games with them, of which he lost 6.
How the fuck does the Annie Pies know all this shit?
I think the Annie Pies has done a lot of research into the Neff.
It's fucking ridiculous.
The Annie Pies has stalked him quite heavily.
That's really creepy, to be honest.
Well, I think it's bearing in mind. I know Annie Pie's kind of interest and involvement, as it were, in Neff came about when the video came out, when Neff was crying into the camera, saying how he was about to be evicted from his home because his housemate's son.
His meal ticket was about to kick his ass out of the house.
No. It was her
yes,
son.
I know it was her son,
yeah.
But still.
And it did the video crying, and Annie Pies mirrored it lots and went through a lot of information to show actually that Neff was lying throughout the video, pretty much.
No way. I'm sorry, Sound. Please continue.
While we're on the subject of tasteless comments, I did like Pilgrim Pater's, one of Pilgrim Pater's videos. I will try and do his Cornish accent, but at one point he's showing clips from Neff's videos, and he goes, "Look out, Neff! Your only source of income is about to make a break for freedom," and you just see Sharon go past the back of the shot. It's just horrendously tasteless, but I laughed. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you please continue with what else the Annie Pies revealed to you?
So I'll come to the other thing that she told me in a minute, but some of the other claims that he made are rather like that one about the US Chess Federation, that they could be true. Like he said, he won awards for art in high school. That could be true. We don't know.
He probably just got like the little blue ribbon that they give everyone who participated.
But I'll come to the complete list in a minute. But the other one, and I should say that viewers of a nervous disposition or of an unsettled stomach should turn down the volume on Blog TV now.
Here we go. My body is ready.
This is from the Annie Pies. When Neff said he used to be, quote, internationally famous, unquote, he was referring to his former website wherein he advised instruction for women on how to satisfy men sexually. I'll just let that sink in for a minute.
guys have nightmares.
And if the mental scars weren't deep enough, our tech guy has just slashed at them even more deeply and rubbed a handful of salt in as well.
Sprinkled with some lemon juice and pepper.
This is an interesting revelation, though, because as Falchion49 has just said, a lot of us are skeptical of the fact that he ever had sex, full stop.
Well, according to him on his former...
Maybe he just quoted Bible verses.
And on Shock of God's chat room, he sometimes would claim that he's had more sex before he was 20 than some of us have ever had in our entire lives.
Oh, my God.
Given the internet, there's a good statistical chance that that's true. But,
I would rather think of my grandma's sexual activities.
Your hand does not count. Pamela Henderson does not count.
But to be honest, who wouldn't desire this man? I'm about to go through the other things that he claimed in this video. This was at the time when there was a tagging game going around YouTube, where the game was that the game was that you had to say 5 things about yourself, 4 of which were true and 1 of which was a lie, and everybody had to guess which one was the lie. Neff decided that this was his opportunity to share 23 facts about himself, which make him look like the most awesome man who ever lived.
Facts. Air quotes facts.
So, ladies, he's half Swedish. That was his first one.
Sorry, Tilson.
The rest is a mix of English, Irish, Scottish, and German. Number 2 is I used to be a member of the US Chess Federation, which, as we've discovered, is actually true. Number 3, I was an extraordinary athlete as a youth. Again, we can't disprove that, but to look at him now, it does take some believing.
He might be an athlete in the bed.
Yeah, I mean, things change,
extraordinary. If he goes to a school with 50 people in his grade, I mean, he's the standout of a bunch of morons. I mean, you need at least 22. You need at least 11 people to make a football team. So if he's one of the 11 out of 50, I mean, yeah, I guess that's something.
He says he's a highly skilled first-person shooter computer game player, and he routinely used to score number 1 on the most popular Quake 2 server.
I think there's possibly some reasoning to accept that, because I know Atheismo has been in a Skype conversation with him and got talking about games, and it does seem like he has, at least at some point in the past, been a genuine gamer.
But just because you're a gamer doesn't mean you're good. I mean, I play.
I know, I'm a gamer. I can
I
completely shit at some of these games.
I mean, Quake 2, I remember Quake 2, it must have been about 99, I think it came out. And
I loved it.
I was barely conscious of the internet existing back then. I'm not sure how many people had internet access in those things.
I had it at uni.
Playing Capture the Flag and using a grappling hook to fly up and hide in the ceilings and shoot people from above.
Anyways,
I love that game.
Go on with the facts.
Number 6 was I used to be internationally famous. We don't need to dwell on that again. Number seven, I'm a good cook. Just a statement of fact. Number 8, I've been under heavy attack from Satan much of my life because God has a plan for me, and Satan has been attempting to derail it since I was young. I think Satan must have killed his computer. I'm
just wondering whether or not Satan was when he entered puberty.
No. We're just not even going to think about that. But yeah, well, I don't know whether or not that. I don't know whether or not
Satan is his rational part of the brain trying to break through.
I somehow doubt that it. I somehow think that it probably voids your warranty on your computer if you say it broke because Satan broke it.
Although it would be funny if somebody actually accepted that as a reason.
Try
that.
Yeah, I'll just a random thought, but I'll sound.
Let's just save it. Let's save it.
Yeah.
And say number 9 and 10 aren't anything particularly boastful. Number 11 was I'm a good artist and won awards in high school. But he says he no longer creates art because he doesn't have the patience for it, which is quite a nice little get out. I mean, maybe he did create art, but it's
oddly enough, Venom Thing X actually is a pretty good painter. I'm not gonna lie.
No, he's not. That picture of himself in his title sequence doesn't look anything like him.
Keep going with the list.
Sorry. Used to be a professional photographer, which is one we've heard a lot before. He did start a series on photography instruction videos, which lasted for one episode. He said, in my mid-30s, I got strep throat, which caused a biochemical change in my body, which means I can't perform repetitious hand work with my hands, which kind of rules out the fact that he's a chronic fapper, as we all...
Or a Quake 2 player. I mean, I'm pretty sure the computer thing would kind of fuck with your hands.
List.
What else did he say? Oh, this one's just to make you feel ill. When I genuinely love someone, I love them very hard and very deeply.
Oh my god.
When he rapes someone, he rapes them very hard and very deeply.
My favourite is I used to be a superb motocross rider, capable of riding the back tyre through the second half of a medium-sized curve while shifting gears, a speed-gaining trick that most motocrossers cannot perform.
I would pay to see him do that.
Although it's also funny because somebody talked to him about motorcycles and established that Neff knows absolutely nothing about motorcycles.
Well, you should actually be surprised by that because he's good friends with Shock of God.
Shock of God doesn't know anything about motorcycles either. He rides a little crotch rocket. On a highway, nonetheless. That's absolutely retarded. Anyone would tell you that.
He's also a mall cop.
That too.
And just the other one, which still cracks me up and cracked me up when I was making the trailer, which was I used to hunt squirrels and duck. But anyway, so what this comes down to, and as I say, we don't know that these are all false, but it just seems odd that a lot of these are in the past tense and that he seems to be unable to do them anymore.
Because he's too busy fapping now.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing that perhaps he considers himself to be rather a good chess player because he used to be a member of the US Chess Federation, in spite of the fact that his win record was about, I think, 14%.
1 in 6. 1 in 6.
Yeah, 1 in 7, I think you'll find. He won one match and lost the remaining 6.
It's probably a good guess for what the Browns are going to be like the first 7 weeks of the season, right, Chris?
Well, the Buckeyes are 2-0 now.
Ooh.
Boys.
Anyway, so yeah, we're fairly convinced now that Neff is one of the prime examples of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Simply because, well, I mean, it's not just his little claims about his previous life as a sort of jet-setting motocross champion,
high style and profiling.
Yeah, but also the fact that he has said in a number of his videos that he can debate biologists on the subject of evolution and win. Don't
forget that he actually has done these things, that he has debated biologists and won, according to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he thinks he debated me in one in the 12-hour call, but he lost.
I don't know. It was against you, so...
But it is a perfect example whereby we know that, well, we're pretty convinced that he does have low ability simply because his qualifications, in inverted commas, are 2 years of internet research.
Hey, man, don't fucking insult internet research, okay? That's pretty legit.
Leave the porn out of this.
I'm not your research tool.
But, I mean, and I suspect quite a lot of that was devoted to answers in Genesis and so on. But then he thinks that on the basis of that, he can then go and defeat people who, like Don Exodus 2, who have degrees in biological fields, or he's in medicine, but it's close enough. He reckons he could defeat Potholer in a debate, even though Potholer has a geology degree. So, yeah, we're pretty convinced that Neff is a prime example of quite a lot of psychological phenomena and Dunning-Kruger effect. And the Anti-Pies has made a video series devoted to this. Yes, and the other one, which I've just forgotten his name, actually. I've drawn a blank. Who's the other one? Good Science for You. I would like to visit Good Science for You.
Slap him with the sink.
Rather like the Annie Pie's insight on the private life of Nephilim Free. I've seen a copy of a letter from Good Science for You's brother, and unfortunately it seems to have gone from my hard drive, so I'm just having to recall some of it from memory.
I think I've read that, and it's just.
Wait. Let him tell what it says. I want to see what I don't know about this. I haven't heard of this.
Good Science for You he's made a number of claims about his IQ for a start. He's said that he's ranked in the top 1% by IQ, which by my estimate is over 160. But he's, in one case, he actually put a definite figure on it in that he has an IQ of 180. But according to his brother, he doesn't seem to put that intelligence to any use because he has a business selling hot tubs in Colorado. And apparently,
I'd
then
he's his IQ.
Well, I think a lot of people would. I mean, it depends. Nobody knows where he got this IQ score from. There are quite a lot of internet sites which claim to be IQ
probably
tests.
from there.
And yeah, some of them may be above board, but some of them will deliberately give flattering IQ tests because it then encourages you to click
give
on
them your credit card
X
number,
and Y, and they can bring money out of you and so on.
Also, if you give them your credit card number.
Yeah, things like that. But I should point out that even as a hot tub salesman, he doesn't have a particularly good reputation. I think that people are always getting angry with him for trying to con them, things like that.
I've been actually registered on his forums for a while under a different username. And,
don't go there.
No,
you
do not want to go. You do not want to go there. He is absolutely batshit insane. In fact, I agree with.
Now you guys have me
Colin
like fucking
ACO or something. You sent me a link to a video of his recently. He did a really good video comparing Good Science for You and Neff, and he actually rated Good Science for You as being more batshit insane than Neff, and I think I would kind of agree with that.
The title of the video, should you want to search for it on YouTube, and I'll link it on the blog as well, is called "The Craziest Guy on the Internet's Redu." Was it Redux? I think it's Redu.
Redux.
But it was a Redux, but it was a response to Thunderfoot's video claiming Neff was the craziest guy on the internet, and this person makes a very convincing case that Good Science for You is. My favourite bit, I'm just going to share this. He does all his little science seminars from his kitchen with that whiteboard that you can see on screen there. And somebody has a photo of him and says, "Let's take a look at Good Science for You's laboratory." And there's a cat sitting on the kitchen worktop and says, "Like all good scientists, he has a lab assistant. Here we can see his assistant Igor. Here we can see his assistant Igor sitting to the right of the whiteboard and the left of the toaster." But and there's also the fact that in spite of, he basically is of the opinion that he is smarter than everybody else, and he manages to see through all the bullshit that mainstream education and mainstream scientific literature and so on portrays. So, for instance, he has a rather unorthodox story of the formation of our universe, rather than the conventional one being the Big Bang Theory, whereby matter expands out of the singularity, which was, we believe, a very condensed form of energy, and then that matter coalescing and forming into stars, and stars fusing it together, and so on. He is of the opinion that matter was, quote, brought into existence, unquote. He doesn't actually say how. And then that matter then collapsed in on itself, and it was formed into something rather like the singularity, wherein it underwent fusion and formed all the elements that we have today, which is a complete departure from,
of course,
mainstream.
Reality.
Yeah, well, from reality, but from mainstream astrophysics.
All this he figured out from the kitchen sink.
he claims to. He claims to have read 200,000 scientific papers, 20,000 of which in detail.
Oh my God! Are you sure he's not a woman?
Like, did he read the title of the others? But I also I have some other quotations from the same video.
I was asking because of the kitchen thing.
Sorry?
I was asking because of the kitchen thing.
Oh, because he spends all his time in the kitchen. Oh, because that makes it all right, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, actually.
He is quoted as saying, "There is no such thing as a neutron," and then in the next sentence saying, "It has tremendous mass, by the way."
Yeah, he once said something really interesting about carbon, but I think we've got some callers that Tech Guy has got lined up for us. So,
excellent.
I got one thing to say before we get callers.
I was going to say, if we get the first one ready, and as Tilden does his thing.
Yeah, if we can bring the first one in, Tilden, fire away.
I would say, with the Dunning-Kruger effect, you also have the opposite effect, that people who are overqualified do not play themselves as being qualified enough. And I think you could use the quote from Socrates. He says, "As for me, all I know is that I know nothing." To actually acknowledge that there are things that you do not know and things that you might never know or understand is actually an important thing to realize. Whilst these people who suffer from this Dunning-Kruger effect to a severe degree as Nephilim 3 and good science for you, don't recognize that there are things that they may never understand, and they think they can understand the entire universe.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find what else he had to say about himself. I just want to share, this is one of my favourite Good Science View quotations. "Death is not okay. Only a moron would believe that."
What?
What?
That's what he said.
My brain is so full of fuck.
This is on his private forum.
Let's move to the callers.
I think we're still getting the caller in. What I was going to say about there was once a discussion to do with carbon and diamonds and stuff, and it was, I think you've mentioned it as well. It's this idea that people are trying to say to him that carbon is made of diamond. Lots of pressure, lots of temperature, you can turn carbon into diamond, and he was just going off on one and was going on about organic carbon and bacteria can't eat diamond. Or
wait, isn't that technically right?
Well, this is let me put it the way I learnt about all this. I heard from somebody that he had claimed that diamonds were not made of carbon, and so I contacted him about this, and I said, "Is it true that you claim that diamonds are not made of carbon?" And I'm not sure whether or not he ever did. It's more than possible, knowing Good Science View, that he probably did say that. But the confusion seems to have come in that he was saying that diamonds are not carbon that can be digested by bacteria. And this, as far as we know, is true. Although I wouldn't be surprised if that is eventually overturned.
Even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. So
wasn't Good Science for You trying to argue that diamonds weren't organic because they couldn't be eaten, therefore they had no carbon?
Yeah, well, when I got to the bottom of this, he said that. I'll start again. He said that he never claimed that diamonds were not made of carbon. He said that it was not organic carbon, which is true, or that it was not bacterially digestible, as opposed to what all the science textbooks say. And when I asked him about this, he said that microbiology textbooks say that bacteria can digest organic molecules. All organic molecules are made of carbon, but they cannot digest diamond, therefore this is wrong. And he failed to make the connection that the textbooks do not say that all organic material is digestible by bacteria, although we're increasingly discovering that that is the case. But no, nobody has ever claimed that diamond is organic carbon. Nobody has ever claimed that it is digestible by bacteria. So it's a very contorted tale, but that's the basics of it.
Yeah, and to be honest, the carbon that makes diamond has never, until it's actually gone to the surface as a diamond, it's never seen the surface of the earth. But I believe we have Is No God with us with a question.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on your show to start with.
You're welcome.
This is the first time I've been here. It's interesting to see that there are other shows similar to the Magic Sandwich.
Hey.
What I'd like to...
Yeah, better than is what you meant to say. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
I don't know if better than. That's to be established.
Different shows for different audiences. Anyway, your question.
Sure. I'm interested to know what you guys think about a little proposition that I have, and I call it anti-dysgenics. You were speaking about eugenics at the beginning of the show, and based on what I heard, your panel is very much opposed to the idea for whatever reason. But what would you say to dysgenics? And let me go a little bit further to clarify. In this case, what I'm referring to is embryo selection prior in vitro fertilization. And that would be to eliminate embryos that have genetic diseases which the child would then obviously inherit. Do you have a problem with that?
Well, first, presumably you mean post IVF, because it can't be.
Yeah, it's talking about something that's referred to as pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, and it's basically you create the embryo using the egg and sperm of the mother and the father, and when you've got the cell division at the 8-cell stage, you whip out one of the cells. It doesn't damage the embryo at all, and you can then run a full genetic analysis on the nucleus, and then you can find out all sorts of information. Personally, so long as you're not using it to rule out trivial things like the person might be redheaded or blonde when the parents want a dark-haired kid, I've got no problem.
Well, no,
if they're
not
looking,
to the extent of race or sex in any way.
Or sexuality or things like that.
If it's they're looking to try and
I don't
have
think
a child,
we're that far to elect sexuality at any rate.
No.
But I think if they're just trying to rule out some of the really, really unpleasant genetic conditions, then I don't have a problem with that, so long as it's used as an assessment tool.
Yeah.
We already do that to a certain extent today. When someone is pregnant, we do actually scan a fetus to see if they have any severe defects, and a woman can actually get abortion, like Down syndrome, missing brains.
This is before it's even. This is actually
But we're still doing it today after it's been in the woman's womb. But I can't see a problem with doing it before, because that would be easier to fix the problem, so to say, rather than waiting to see if there's a problem inside the womb and go to a procedure to get rid of it.
Yeah, because there are certain medical conditions where those that have it, if they want children, they probably won't want to think that their child would have the condition.
Yeah. I suppose for starters, I don't think there's anybody on this panel who is opposed to abortion full stop, and I'm pretty confident that this would count as abortion.
Well, I don't think so, because abortion, you need the fetus or the embryo to have implanted in the womb and develop, and to have to go inside the woman to take it out.
It's a little bit further down the road.
Yeah, this is before you have the embryo implanted, so it's just a ball of cells at that point.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I don't think any of us are so adamantly pro-life that we would insist that all embryos be allowed the chance to become.
Some people are, though.
Humans. I know that some people are.
I don't give
but we're just talking about our standpoint on it.
Wasn't it in the UK, actually, where there was a case where a woman basically wanted to pull the plug on a kid who basically suffering and had to fight to get it done, because it had some severe genetical disease that basically made it only live for a couple of months.
Yeah, that is possible. What the case is currently in the UK, I know of another case that's slightly converse to that, where the parents were devoutly religious and their daughter was extremely ill. She was born prematurely. The doctors diagnosed her with little chance of survival for a period over a year, and the parents fought the hospital, who wanted to actually remove the child from the life-sustaining treatment that it was receiving, because it could not survive without that treatment. It was in extreme pain, and at the end of the day, the hospital did win the right to not continue treatment.
I personally don't understand why people put so much of an emphasis on life. And I don't mean that in the way a lot of people... Hold on, let me finish, please, before a lot of people go apeshit. I mean that in the fact that if you have someone who is suffering horribly, let them go. Honestly, like, I've told my parents straight up that if ever there was a scenario where I am a vegetable similar to Terry Schiavo, please put me out of my misery and just kill me.
But unless I'm mistaken, that's still not legal in the United States.
if you're on a
euthanasia is not
vegetable,
legal.
if you're a vegetable and on life support, it's okay to turn the life support systems off. I mean, I've told my family that if I'm ever in that sort of situation, I'm effectively at that point a bag of organs.
Yeah, I didn't even tell them just to take me off life support. I told them to please just let me go with dignity, like not the way that she did, like where she basically starved and dehydrated for 3 days. I told them to just fucking kill me, like give me a super shot of adrenaline, and
I wouldn't want that. I'm talking about the fact that I've made it clear to my parents that if I'm ever in that sort of condition, I'm a bag of organs at that point. I've got heart, lungs, liver, kidneys. There's even the corneas. There's all sorts of bits of my body that
no
could
brain
go
link.
through.
But what about severe brain?
Sorry. Be able to go through, and I'm very pro organ donation.
But what if you're not brain dead? But only if you're severely brain damaged, but you're still technically alive? But you're not really you're just severely handicapped.
I personally wouldn't want to look that way.
Yeah, but
there are no mercy killings allowed, not in the UK. I don't know about the USA, but there's no such
I
thing.
don't think actually any states would actually allow that unless you have a terminal.
I mean, there's euthanasia. Some countries do allow euthanasia.
Yeah, well,
That's
Switzerland allows
what have you.
But that's only if you have a terminal disease, not if you're handicapped, basically. So if you're
I don't know about that.
I
I thought euthanasia was an option regardless. Whether
the only criterion, as I understand it, in those countries which do allow euthanasia is that the person has to sign a written agreement and they have to have been of sound mind when they signed it. The problem with a lot of people who do have mental brain damage, things like that, mental illness, they are often in the limbo situation whereby we can't tell whether or not they were in sound mind when they made that decision. So a lot of them have to be kept alive regardless. But I believe that's the only criterion.
Perhaps one should write a will. Like if I ever become severely brain damaged and I can't function on my own, please take me to Switzerland and knock me off.
Yeah. If you're in the UK, you can't do that either.
Like go to Switzerland and do it.
No, if you're not able to make the trip yourself, you cannot get someone else to help you make the trip. It's basically assisted suicide. You are assisting this person to kill themselves. So as soon as you get back to the UK, neither do I. It's just unfortunately the way things are.
Well, you just happen to take a vacation in Switzerland.
Just get really drunk and
write in your will that if you get severely brain damage, you want a plane ticket to Switzerland to see the beautiful Alps, and then also, if in case I got near a euthanasia clinic, please knock me off.
Yeah, but to come back to the original question, then, I don't think anybody in this panel objects to the technology. I think you're absolutely right in what you said, that as with all technologies, there comes a certain burden of responsibility with it, namely that it should not be used as a tool in support of eugenics. It shouldn't be allowed to abort a fetus if it is found to be of a particular race or sex.
What exactly
sexual
does
orientation?
What exactly does eugenics propound? What is the basis of it? Because I'm not entirely clear. I've looked up several definitions, and I haven't found a satisfactory
It's just cleansing the gene pool of something you don't want. Effectively, it's just taking control and weeding out something. If we look at what Hitler did, he was practicing eugenics against various Jews and other people, and it was because it wasn't just Jews that he was putting in through these concentration camps. It was the mentally and physically handicapped. There was communists, gay people, gypsies. There was quite a few people as well other than Jews that he didn't like. That was
what about obviously now these people are alive. It's a very different criteria to what is not yet alive, but where does the moral distinction come in if you are going to alter something pre-life to fit a specific criteria? I mean, obviously, once it's alive, it's a very different situation. You cannot kill it and say, well, you cannot breed, you're not congruent with what I desire in this said society. But pre-life, where's the big moral problem?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is part of it. It could be seen as a kind of eugenics in that we are trying to keep a disease out of the populace, but we're not just doing it, or perhaps our only motivation is not to keep it out of genetic circulation. It's simply for the benefit of the individual child.
I think one could actually take a broader interpretation. I mean, if it were possible to apply this sort of technology more broadly, and I don't think it ever will be, because sex is just too much fun. But if it were, I think one of the goals would certainly be to eradicate the disease. I mean, it is no difference in effect to combating polio and eradicating polio. The end effect is the same. I don't see a particular problem with it.
I mean, this could be a useful tool in fighting things like HIV and AIDS, for instance.
I don't know about that. HIV and AIDS is not a genetic illness.
Well,
but it can be
technically,
it can be passed mother to child, and I think it's like a lot of viruses. It can incorporate itself in the genome.
If we can do something about that, that would be spectacular.
There's also the other point with HIV is that you could actually then start sort of breeding those who have a bigger resistance against the virus, because there are people in the world who have a higher degree of resistance against this virus, even people who are immune to it. And if we could do that, that's also...
There's people who are immune to AIDS?
Yes, there are some people that have a higher tolerance to it because of genetic...
HIV, not AIDS, because AIDS is the...
HIV.
Yeah, once you've got AIDS, it's over.
Yeah, but there are people who are actually immune to HIV. They technically
there's no cure.
Yeah. But they're basically what called a carrier of the HIV virus, but it's never a active virus in them.
What about vaccinations?
With regards to what? With regards to HIV?
Yeah, I've heard something about that. I don't think it's possible.
I've no idea.
Check out.
I should say we need to let you go in just a minute because we need have other people queuing. But I'll just say a quick thing about.
If you want to check out HIV viruses vaccination, go check with Concordance. He also talked about it on the 24-hour. 48 hours HIV thing that
I'll just say quickly, because you did ask about HIV vaccines, but so far every one that we've developed has been a failure simply because the virus is very quick to evolve and to outwit them. But there has been some recent findings whereby they've managed to find one of the surface antigens of HIV which doesn't appear to change. It seems to doesn't seem to be able to evolve. So it looks like
on the run.
So it looks like there may be an effective vaccine on the horizon.
Lols, take that, AIDS.
But, so yes, thank you very much for calling in. I will have to let you go now.
It's been interesting. Take care, guys.
Okay, thank you. And we are just getting the next person lined up. After this call, I would quite like to talk about Gorilla 199 because he's the one
yes, he's a nice British Dunning-Kruger. There's always, as we said, Tilson mentioned, I think it was earlier, there's always that flip side to the Dunning-Kruger that the really, really brainy people rate themselves as being less intelligent they are. Because I know when I'm doing stuff, particularly sometimes to do with work, I'm always going around double checking that I've got it right because I don't want to make a mistake.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that part, though. So
yeah, well, that's just always good working practice. But yeah, I mean that's not a problem, but it is something to be aware of.
But it's also the fact that very brainy people also have a tendency to play down their own roles. Like they acknowledge that there are things that they do not know. You won't see Stephen Hawking go about saying, "I know everything," or I can't do the Stephen Hawking voice.
Yeah, and
I don't know everything either.
I think part of the statistical phenomenon behind the Dunning-Kruger effect is perhaps perpetuated by the fact that when you give people whatever puzzle or task it is to do, if they find it really hard, then they assume that it's a hard task, and so therefore they're more inclined to think that everybody finds it hard, and so the fact that they've completed it, they might think that means that they've done better than most people. Whereas if it seems like
about it that way.
Whereas if it seems like a patronizingly easy task, then you might think, well, anybody could do that. So I'm probably below average. There's also that combined with the fact that people don't like to boast about their intelligence.
Well, I am going to boast about the fact that I have, when I was a kid, I worked out a solution to the Rubik's clock, and I can do it. I used to do it in just over a minute. Literally, I was able to do it at speed when I was a kid because I was like, yeah, I've solved it. Right, let's see how quick I can do it. I can do it. I can still do it now within about 2 minutes.
What is the
What the fuck
Rubik's
is a
clock?
Rubik's clock?
The Rubik's clock, it was amazing. It's like this, it's a double-faced thing, and you've got 9 dials, and they're little clock faces.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And you've got to get them all pointing to 12, and it's you. I would even say that if we're ever in a pub somewhere and someone's got a Rubik's clock, or if I can dig mine out, I would let people jumble it up, and I will happily show people that I can do the Rubik's clock in about 2 minutes. Could even teach people the method.
Is it like the? Oh, I see. I'm looking at one now, and there are little pegs that you push in. And,
pegs that you push in, and twiggy bits that you move around.
They connect different ones by gears, and so when you turn one, it turns other ones. And
we are super fucking ADD today.
I'm not. I'm on meds.
And he got laid last night.
Fuck him for that one too.
So that's my not being a Dunning-Kruger. I have solved the Rubik's clock.
Well, you haven't solved the time cube.
Oh no, time cube!
Can I just say, I'm very pleased to see that we have none other than Don Quixote speaking to us on Skype. Can I just say, are you the Don Quixote?
Hasn't he been like dead for 400 years?
Yes, I mean there are a few other people who are using that name, but
you're the Don Quixote de la Mancha.
No, I'm Don Quixote de Ca.
Oh,
I
was going to ask how Sancho.
It's still cool because you're a caller into our show. Woohoo!
So what's your question?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I've got to be pretty ballsy or pretty stupid to follow the subject of Dunning-Kruger effect with a conspiracy theory, but I do have a conspiracy theory that I would like you guys to debunk.
Oh, yes.
We can see what we do.
Yeah, we can try.
It's that all these brainless conspiracy theories are being pushed really hard in order to create a perception pattern in the public's mass mind of ridicule for the seemingly improbable. These paradigms of idiocy are encouraged so as to have the examples at the disposal of those who wish to destroy the reputation of actual sciences.
So what you're proposing is a meta-conspiracy theory?
I believe so, yeah.
So you're saying that by the fact that so many conspiracy theories exist, that is somehow a government tool to make us automatically dismiss a new conspiracy theory when we come across it?
Not government. No, not government. Let me continue. Specifically, all the biological sciences are one of the two targets because they're completely interwoven with evolution, both the fact and the theory, and the environmental sciences, primarily due to them being the support of the anthropogenic climate change and pollution in general. They're both contradictory to theocratic dogmas.
Well, you're talking about things like the fact that it seems odd that governments would support global warming when they have more interest in oil, things like that. When you say that they're contrary to theocratic, okay.
Yeah, specifically the Mammonist theocracy, which is avarice worship addiction, and the Dominionist theocracy, which is their goal is total control of humanity and the planet, like Pinky and the Brain stuff.
World domination. I could get behind
World
that.
domination.
Okay, can somebody take over because my brain's starting to melt. I'm trying to process
I had a sound glitch, so I missed part of it. And I kind of got the idea that it's like a meta conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy inside a conspiracy inside a conspiracy.
Conspiraception.
So it's like New World Order, but with something leading the New World Order that's hidden.
Not so much New World Order. No, not so much New World Order. That's pretty much a fiction, and that's actually one of the conspiracy theories that's been built and promoted in order to make the real conspiracies look like just so much shit.
But how would you then distinguish between the real and the shitty ones?
Science, actual science, things that are actually based on science.
But then what's real science? Because all science is a conspiracy if you believe some people.
Yeah,
that's
I was going to say, it's sounding awfully like the plot to the film Conspiracy Theory, where Mel Gibson's character has got all sorts of conspiracy theories, and he's in trouble because one of them's right, but he doesn't know which.
I mean, you were saying that it's odd that a lot of conspiracy theories are opposed to things we would expect out of a government. I know there's one YouTuber of whom I'm a bit of a fan, and I've mentioned him before, and I feel a bit sorry for picking on this person because unlike a lot of YouTubers that we like to call retarded, this person is actually seriously mentally.
No, don't bring him up because then I'll be inclined to imitate him.
We'll all start impersonating him. But all I will say is that he claims
to do with nuclear fusion.
Yes, that's the man.
Oh no, not that guy.
But to cut a long story short, he is of the opinion that global warming is a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy that is perpetuated by nuclear power companies, and so governments potentially stand to gain by investing in nuclear power. I'm not entirely sure because nuclear power is bloody expensive, but. So I should imagine that for just about any conspiracy theory that seems to go against the typical behavior of those in power, there is always a counter argument which tries to make some sense of it.
I'm fighting the urge to imitate him right now.
Well, we'll move on then. We'll move on.
Well, do you guys get the point though that what I'm saying is this conspiracy theory, which it's mine, and I buy it only about as far as I can throw it, which it's ephemeral, so I can't throw it at all. Is that
it's more of a thought exercise then?
Yeah,
it is a thought exercise.
That's good.
That is kind of where it starts and ends for me. Is that yours is a conspiracy theory which tries to explain all the conspiracy theories, and bearing in mind that a lot of conspiracy theories don't have good evidence supporting them, you're trying to get together lots of things with very little supporting evidence and trying to use those to support something which seems tenuous. So, I mean, if you're talking homeopathically...
Wait a minute. Are the biological sciences, which are based on evolution, tenuous in reality? I don't think so.
No.
Well, no.
Is anthropogenic climate control? Is anthropogenic climate change?
No, but I'm talking about
in reality?
No, but I'm talking about the conspiracy theory rather that it is a conspiracy. That's what I'm talking about. It being tenuous. There isn't much evidence that evolution is a conspiracy. There's pretty good evidence scientifically that evolution is a fact.
The same goes with climate change.
Yeah, so it's not the phenomena themselves. It's the fact that conspiracy theories generally have very little evidence supporting them. And I realise that some people, but the idea is that I'm talking about the people who say evolution is a conspiracy, and their conspiracy is that evolution is fake. So, but yeah, so I'm saying you're kind of taking a lot of rather tenuous concepts and trying to use it to support something that's just as tenuous. So,
well, I'm not really sure that I am, but that's what I came here for.
If I'm being honest, I don't think any of us actually understand this. But,
I kind of vaguely do.
Yeah.
The idea is that this has set up a pattern for all of these conspiracy theories to be out there and not be, somebody.
They're distracting from the real conspiracy.
Exactly. They are distracting, and they are setting up a mental pattern in the public that
the real conspiracy
everything is bullshit except for the Bible. That's the point.
Yeah.
The only thing they can rely on is their religion because it never changes. It's the concept that science is bunk.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought about it
This is the basis of the theory, is that the theocracies are trying, the growing theocracies are trying to kill science in the imagination of the general public.
Okay,
Yeah.
by doing that, they can then turn around and say, well, actually, religion has all the answers.
Right.
I mean,
You guys with me now? Or
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept. It definitely is, but I mean...
I'm out of my depth. I can't cope. But
Because it doesn't involve fish.
We can't all be smart. It's okay.
This is why I never went to see Inception. My head would just
I
explode.
haven't seen that film.
I haven't seen it either.
Okay. So does that kind of answer your question there, Don?
It probably
well,
Or did it satisfy your
I want you guys
discussion of it?
tear it apart, please. Tear it apart. Tell me why it's wrong.
Well, I mean, the trouble with the conspiracy theories is that you cannot prove them wrong. That's kind of part of the beauty of them. Whatever evidence you bring to the table, you can just say, well, that's part of the conspiracy.
Yeah, and it's
Sound is part of the conspiracy now.
I was going to say it's whatever you say to counter someone's conspiracy, they will always say, "Oh, but you've not seen all the evidence, or you've not seen the real evidence, or something like that." The first time I went to a Skeptics in the pub, it was to do with UFOs, and there was a true believer TM there, and he would turn around and said to the guy that was giving this talk, because it was about a particular UFO incident, and it was a case of, "But you haven't seen the real evidence." And he turned around and tried to say that the light. They actually did a spectroscopic analysis of the light because they recorded the light and they did analysis of the footage. And it took several people to turn and say, actually, no, that's not how spectroscopy works.
And many of them also claim that we never know the full evidence because many of them believe that the government or another group or so will always hide the most crucial part of the evidence, which is one of the reasons why you really can't fully debunk any conspiracy theories, because they always have some sort of cop-out saying, like, there's evidence you haven't seen, or this evidence you haven't considered, or it is basically, I would say, impossible to debunk many conspiracy theories, but you could assume that they are bullshit.
Yeah, I think the best argument that I could bring to the table is that, first of all, it's probably the worst, or possibly the most effective double bluff in history, that most conspiracy theories try to undermine the government's position. So if the government is behind all these, then that kind of doesn't square unless it is a double bluff. There's also the fact that I just think there seems to be an enormous amount of evidence that human beings just tend towards conspiracy theories by themselves. Everybody wants to believe that there is more to this plane of existence than we are told to believe. So that's my only real evidence that I can bring to it, is that I think human beings are predisposed to conspiracies. I don't think that they need leading.
I think you got a point there, James, by saying that we actually need, we want a simple answer.
Yeah.
That if something doesn't seem simple, many people then try to make it simple. And conspiracy theories actually do make complex questions more simple, like why did the World Trade Center get attacked? And it's a very complex thing with politics, religion, and so on. And they would say, no, it's an inside job, planned demolitions. And
there are people like me who are just bored with reality. Like, they like to daydream that time travel is really possible, and you think about what you would do if you could go back in time and all the rest of it. And I just think that people...
August 2nd, 1934, kill Hitler.
People
Gotcha,
want to... You've been watching Doctor Who, haven't you, Lewis?
No, I haven't. I don't like that show. That show is absolute shit.
But no, I think it's people just want there to be either the supernatural. They want there to be the kind of exciting stuff that they see in films, which is why I think people want to believe, or will believe, anything if it lets them live in that moment of fantasy. So I hope that's answered your question, or at least come somewhere in the region of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good enough. Good enough. Hey, thanks for the privilege of coming on and you guys.
Yeah, we like callers, so it's our pleasure.
Sorry, was that my internet cut out? Okay.
I said to him that thanks for the call. We like callers. It's our pleasure.
We got one more person.
The past caller was in on the conspiracy to make it believe the conspiracies are real.
Oh yeah, he was orchestrating the whole thing.
He's behind the conspiracies. It's all a conspiracy itself.
All right, that's enough. If we could have the last caller in, please. I would still like to talk about Gorilla 199, who is, I think, the best conspiracy. Hello, we have Rob Terry on the line.
Yes, time travel is possible, actually.
You're not going to fool me. I heard you calling into the Magic Sandwich a few weeks ago.
This is that Warrior Christian kid, isn't it?
This is Warrior Christian. I'm sorry to ruin the magic so early on. He actually came to our
You don't
Skype
have
chat
to lie to say that who you are to get on the show. We will accept calls from people that don't hold our viewpoints.
He's actually just a Poe. So
he came to our Skype chat as proud Flat Earth Society member.
Talk about that as well, but you just said time travel doesn't exist, but it does. There's a video of this guy who goes to the sink, and he takes a video of meeting his older self. There's a video. I'm gonna send you this.
Actually, no, time travel does exist. We are always travelling forwards in time. It's just whether or not we can ever go backwards in time.
And time is also relative. If you move faster than other people, you actually
Exactly.
Yeah.
Aha, bitches! I'm traveling in time when I'm on an airplane. Or since I'm closer to the equator than the rest of you. Haha.
Actually, it kind of makes sense, because if you run to an important meeting or something, you don't turn up late, which is obviously evidence that time has slowed down.
Holy shit!
But suddenly it all makes sense. Come on.
Mother of God.
TARDIS is real.
Next on Troll Science.
Do we have any other callers other than
Next on
proud
Troll
Flat Earth
Science.
Society members?
I think you're demeaning it. This is a wonderful, whimsical thing that happened, and you're demeaning it. But the flat Earth, no, really. Tell me, please, if gravity exists, why aren't we collapsing under our own gravitational pull?
Gravity doesn't
we
exist.
evolved in this gravity field, therefore we're not going to get squeezed.
Yeah. The way I learnt it was that we're crabs living at the bottom of a sea of air. That's what's holding us together.
We don't scuttle around sideways, and we don't do the
I do
kind of
today,
Zoidberg
'cause I
way.
saw...
We don't want to know about you and your nocturnal antics.
Anyone else feel like fapping? No.
No, I don't.
Have you been watching Netflix again?
Yes.
Rob, while you're there, if the Earth is flat, as you seem to advocate, how can it be day and night in different parts of the world at the same time?
Because you've got like one of those magic slot things that moves
Fairy
around
dust.
across the sun.
No,
let him speak. Let him speak.
Right, it's not an orbit. It's not an orbit, but it's like an orbit. The sun comes up on one end of the Earth, and it's the aether winds. It is caught in the aether whirlwinds that's doing this, right? And the sun goes over one end, and then goes up across the top, and then goes down on another end.
What?
Yes. That's
Wilson just fell out of his chair.
I think this is a defense mechanism. I think I've shown you the truth, and you've just you've been lied to all your lives about this.
I was so with you there for a minute.
Thumbs up in the chat if he's a Poe. Thumbs up in the chat if he's a Poe.
Of course he is. We know
He is a Poe. We know he's a Poe. I heard him on the Magic Sandwich using the same Brummy.
He is actually a very good Poe. Unlike
but
that.
Yeah, we do admire your poeing. Warrior Christian,
for those
or whatever
about to Poe, we salute you. Now
you are actually our first ever Poe, in fact, or first ever troll.
You've popped our Poe cherry.
Yes.
No more cherry popping for me, thanks.
I'm not a troll because my hair is flat, and I'm not a Poe.
And you don't live under a bridge?
He can't because you fall over the world.
There's a good explanation for this, actually. I asked the Flat Earth Society forums, why don't we go to the edge of the Earth and take a picture? No, this is a good question.
Because the walls are up there. You can't see past the walls, can you?
Because it's a conspiracy? It's a meta-conspiracy?
Someone suggested that. Someone said there are gods there and they'd kill you. But another person said there's simply...
Are you from Dudley? You like hypnotised?
I'm down to being audible.
How exceptionally rude.
You like Bay City Rollers?
Do we know?
Are you okay, Tilson?
Tilson, if it is starting to hurt, close down Skype. We won't have any injuries on this show.
I'm crying.
I think he's from Dudley.
But Rob, how
to address me? All you're doing is laughing.
I'm sorry. What was your question? What was your point you were trying to get us to refute?
No, I was just explaining a really good question because some people say, why not go to the edge of the earth in sort of a mocking way? And
Because there is no edge of the earth.
No, there is actually. There is. It's just you can't get there because there's an electromagnetic retraction. So, you especially
like the teleporter from Star Trek. It beams you into the middle of some random field.
No, that kid from the Twilight Zone who just stands there, and when you get near him, he's like, poof, off that, I'm in a cornfield again.
What?
But can I just ask, because I'm interested to know,
build it, they will come.
How thick is this flat Earth? Because I believe we've drilled now, I think 11 kilometers down in it, and we still haven't come out the other side yet.
Yeah.
So I guess it's pretty deep then.
It's almost as deep as all those loose women.
Look, that picture famous because you're not.
Is that documentary footage on the screen?
Yes,
I think so, yes.
Explaining that.
I'm impressed by that picture. Hallelujah, the world is flat.
No.
What idiot would build their house there? Like, put the cat out.
Exactly. Hang on. What if the edge of the world suffers from some sort of coastal erosion thing like we've got in East Anglia? The world used to be twice the size.
No, you've got it the wrong way around, Womble. East Anglia is the edge of the world.
Really?
Well, okay. Where does all the water come from? Is there like a wall between to keep
There's
the
a
water?
pump.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like one of those fountain things. There's gonna be a pump.
You get in your
There's
garden,
like
there's
a giant catchwell thing. Actually, yeah, the world is really part of a very large ornamental pump.
It all comes out of the guises in
Right
Yellowstone.
now. I have no idea what the fuck
It's
y'all
the
are talking
fountains
about.
of the deep. The water falls off the edge of the earth, gets siphoned up by some clever ethereal piping plumbing system, and it comes back out through the fountains of the deep.
The flat Earth is truly a epic level on Super Smash Brothers. If you fall off the edge, you lose a life, and you just come back somewhere else
respawn.
on the map.
Yeah.
I just explained why you can't fall off the edge of the earth. Are you not paying attention? Listen.
Do we have like magic bungee ropes attached to the small of our backs then? So if you dive off it, you kind of bungee up and down for it.
I'm trying to explain, but apparently you have a problem because you can't stop talking. Listen.
Actually, I can stop talking because if I didn't stop talking, I would be continually talking like this, and I can continue to talk, and I have been complimented on my ability to talk utter shit.
There's 10 minutes left, guys.
Listen here, Rudy Poo.
Is there another caller who's...
No, I don't think
have a serious caller.
If there is, I don't care.
I have an explanation. Of course we're not falling, and of course...
Is it all down to 42?
Let me fucking speak!
Right. Can everybody let Truthful Poe speak?
I'm just going to make this my last statement because this is getting ridiculous. Right, so... The reason water doesn't pour off the edge of the earth is because there are ice mountains. Of course it doesn't fall off. Where would it all go?
No. If there were ice mountains, we'd have ice giants. And we don't have ice giants because Thor's killed them all. And
listen, you've been immensely disrespectful, and I've been incredibly respectful to you. You fucking pricks! You fucking
That's for the rest of them because the old boys, they didn't have a penis. I'm a girl, I don't have a penis of my own.
She has a penis.
I love this guy.
Can I just say, somebody has put in chat, this is something we were talking about earlier in the week, it says 42 is the answer to everything. We found another question to which it is the answer. This is absolutely true. Well, I believe it's true. It's in the news this week. 42 is the number of times you can masturbate before you die. That is to say, 42 is the lethal, but there was a man in the news this week who died after masturbating 42 times consecutively.
That's bullshit. I've done it like 1,000 times.
This is within a day.
I've done it 42,000 times in like one day.
That might have come from a spoof website. I don't know. But,
so what if you like masturbate 41 times? Would be like a brink of death.
Stop.
One more,
but,
I will die.
But
it's when you ejaculate your kidneys that you know you're in trouble.
But Rob Terry, we need to let you go now because we need to wrap up the show. But I will just give you what I think is the best debunking of a flat Earth,
which is the history of forever.
Which is a mission should you choose to accept it. Which is you pick 4 locations on Earth, cities or whatever. They need to be sufficiently far apart, preferably in different countries, better still different continents. And if you measure the distance between them all and then try and draw them on a flat map, you physically cannot do it.
Haha, bitch.
That's something for you to go and try at home.
Right, I'm going to put that to the Flat Earth Society.
Thank you very much.
Do that.
Please come back.
That accent is way too fucking much for me to handle right now.
We'll try and get some Robbies on the show, especially for you, Lewis. But thank you very much, Rob Terry, aka proud Flat Earth Society member.
Can we have
for
some
calling in.
bronies? Can we have some bronies on the show next, please?
We can try.
Any
You've been
bronies?
immensely
Gorilla
entertaining.
199.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Gorilla 199.
Yes, we'll very quickly move on to this. I don't know if anybody wants to share their particular favourite.
I don't even know who that asshole is. I mean, I know who he is, but, like, I'm not, like, fucking impressed by it.
No, he is a YouTuber who devotes himself to unmasking the various symbology around us, which are symbols of New World Order and the Illuminati and various other things like on the $1 bill. I think there's the pyramid on the back with the top coming off, and that's the Illuminati symbol. There was also, I think, what was it he was talking about? The Roman numeral for 1,000, which he showed was like an infinity sign. That's not
What?
him.
No, it's not.
That's not him.
Oh no, that is him. He's wearing
There was you know, last show we did, we mentioned the riots, and I think we brought it up there, the fact that he made a connection between the riot cleanup and pagans, because the rioters were using brooms and brushes, and the brooms were ridden by witches.
Witch transports, yes.
Yeah,
God,
and it's
Actually,
like,
guys, there's one thing
shitting
I
me.
want to add, because it's a guy most of us have forgotten about, and that's in regards to the Dunning-Kruger effect. He's worse than Good Science for You and Nephilim Free.
Well,
It is the guy behind Time Cube.
oh god,
Time Cube?
Time Cube.
Time Cube.
Fuck is Time Cube?
What is Time Cube? Please explain.
Never
quickly.
been to Time Cube?
I can't explain Time Cube.
Timecube.com.
Okay,
I've put the link in the chat.
that might have
it's-
to be homework.
It's like the red pill.
There is essentially, in a nutshell, there are 4 24-hour days in a day. We live on a cubed world. There are 4
What?
corners, and at each corner a new day starts. There are the
What?
4 periods of man, to do with like birth and growth, and it's not that it's like childhood and that. We metamorphose into each stage.
This is one
What?
of those conspiracy websites which is just text that just goes on and on and on
And
forever.
you don't want to reading too much of it in one go without someone in
Time Cube
nearby
Masters
to pull you
absolute
out.
proof you're retarded. You can't comprehend the fact that Cube 4 simultaneous 24-hour days rotate
I
with
challenge.
the same 24-hour rotation of Mother Earth. You can't tell the difference between your mother and a queer guy says God. God can't match mahole and polypole sex. Every male on Earth born of a woman. Your dictionary will explain viviparous. Believers' egos kills teen for queer image. Hands flat on table with thumbs touching proves you are a mirror opposites, not a diabolic oneist. Opposites pulsate life. One is death. Earth has 4 days and same 24 hours. Time Cube 4 transcends one day God. Humans are wiser at birth than after fully educated, for they are taught negativistic anti-life oneism that does not exist on an opposite plus and minus pole Earth. It devastates life's pulsating antipodes. Human metamorphosis has 4 life stages. Without instituting the Time Cube 4-day principle on Earth, 4 races are doomed to the oncoming oneness of hell on Earth. Here's something stupid. A website called The God Above God, I, Gene Ray, have owned Above God since 1997. God is oneism, the pair equals to the same sex that contradicts oneness of the Holy Bible.
Chris, that'll do.
You got one important thing.
We're losing
The entire site starts with.
Get your money back. Don't forget you are one is retarded. One perspective is your opposite rationale.
Can't read the fucking first page.
That's
I challenge everyone to read beyond the first page. I read the entire first page and it blew my mind. But the page starts with Time Cube math is absolutely proof you are retarded. If that's not the Dunning-Kruger effect, take it back.
Oh no, he's
fuck
full
it
on
is.
Dunning-Kruger, full on
Simple
main
fusion
mental
is the most
Dunning-Kruger.
perfect and life-supporting form existing on the Earth, the universe, and on Earth, including Earth itself. Do you realize that 4-corner square rotating 1/4 turn creates a full circle? A full rotated square will create 16 corners, 96 hours, and 4
Okay,
simultaneous.
no, seriously, stop. You're hurting my fucking brain. I don't know what
Can I
you're
just-
saying.
Oh, can I just quick?
Listen.
Can I just quickly share with you a little Gorilla 199 moment of my own that I came up with the other day when I was playing when I was playing the well-known smartphone game Angry Birds.
I just lost the game again.
I discovered that Angry Birds is evidence that Jews do control the media. I don't know how many of you have ever played it, but the birds with their big beaks represent Jewish people, the famously big-nosed variety. The pigs represent Nazis because they wear little helmets. There's even the idea of catapulting these birds at the pigs is a recreation of the bouncing bomb attacks of the Second World War. It's all in there, you see. Anybody can do it.
When did you become this special?
Since I started watching Gorilla 199, he loses you IQ points. But
nuclear power.
No, we're not doing John THM. Thank you very much.
Genesis 1.5 is an erroneous and evil lie that rocks religion and academia to the roots. God did not create a first or even a single day and claim.
I'm going to hang up if Chris keeps reading from there.
Yeah. I should have never told him about that sign.
I've known about time for years.
I think that this episode has finally fallen apart at the seams, so I think it's probably about time that we wrapped up and said
to
goodbye.
help out the people who are homeless because of the wildfires in Central Texas.
The link above the chat on Blog TV, there's a fundraiser to help those who are...
The latest news is still there are 1,700 families who cannot come home.
Yeah, people who've lost their houses to the wildfires in the United States. Also... That's enough, Lewis. Also, a reminder that next Saturday is DPR Jones's fundraiser for Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. We're all going to be there watching. We won't be on the show, unfortunately. But
if you
there are going to be some big names on, like Eugenie Scott and James Randi.
Yeah, and we've got a number of us are sticking some items up. If you're really hardcore into geology, I'm putting up a little book to do with rocks and minerals that's battered from when I have taken it into the field.
Yeah.
And
I want a signed shirt from me.
Yep.
That says, I heart surprise butt sex. That will also be available for auction. It is rather massive, as it is too big even for me.
Was it 4XL?
Yes.
But yeah, so everything you need to know we'll be putting on our blog, SkepticTV.net, or you can find out more about the fundraiser and the eBay auctions on GPR Jones's channel and various other people who've been mirroring.
And I will personally put myself on eBay. If it doesn't get to $1,000, I will continue reading from TimeCube.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say you were going to put yourself on eBay.
I did.
As in like sexually, I think is what.
Oh, no.
Which would mean that James would start bidding, like crazy, like fuck you.
You can have your own pet CS bear.
White welfare for black race fuels inherent slaughter. Excessive adult death treats children worse than dogs. Americans are dumb, thought stupidity, depravity, evil.
I think what we need to do is ask
all right. CS bear, thank you very much.
We're off.
I think
we hope you enjoy.
We
hope you enjoy the Médecins Sans Frontières next weekend, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time. Do we know what the topic for that's going to be? It'll be on the book. Okay, but
don't forget that 2 weeks is 96 TimeCube days. So
shut up.
Go Texans.
I'm leaving now. I don't want any more of this TimeCube.
Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Just to say goodbye from the panel, Angry Womble.
Wow.
Say goodbye, Eli Fayad.
Fuck the police.
CS Bear.
Bye.
Our special guest Tilden. And thank you to our tech guy Colin. We'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.